everyone. I wanted to bring something up. So a lot of YouTubers, content creators, all that shit, they really like to they really like to script, right? I can't script. I actually have a huge problem reading scripts. So I don't know if this is a flex or like a brat. I don't know. But I just wanted to let y'all know I actually can't script my videos. I have to do this like off the dome. Um it's just whatever I'm thinking at the time. So if you guys like the video. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm just saying. But like we take nothing but dubs around here. But today I wanted to introduce you guys to a new series I wanted to do. This is something I was feeling pretty strongly about because I want to make sure I want to make sure you guys can get into new series like I have. Like, and the reason for that is obviously because I have been recommended series by my friends. I have found new series like just randomly, and I love anime. I love games. I really like finding new series because obviously that enriches our lives as a whole, and that's what I'm here to do. So if you guys do like this one, feel free to check out the character I'm about to talk about with y'all. So anyway, this is gonna be like a hidden gems type of series where I bring up like characters from lesser known series that like don't really kind of have that recognition in our community, but should. Let me emphasize what, but should have that recognition in our community, right? So today I wanted to go over Makima from Chainsaw Man versus Leblanc from League of Legends, and this is actually the matchup's really interesting because both of them have like somewhat similar, I want to say similar like styles and approaches to how they achieve their goals and how they fight, especially. Um, First off, let's get the scenario out of the way. We want to talk about if this matchup happened in Chainsaw Man's world, full intel versus no intel, and then we're going to go over like the Runeterra thing, which is LeBlanc's world. LeBlanc lives in the League of Legends universe, and Runeterra is her world. So we're going to go over all of that, and I actually think you guys are going to be surprised because I have wanked Makima into the sun, and I wank LeBlanc too, so let's just take two champs, two characters that, I've wanked into the sun. Let's put them against each other because, my mental hasn't suffered enough. Let's make me suffer more. So anyway, so the first one, we're going to do in the Chainsaw Man universe, like I said, we're going to have it be LeBlanc versus Makima. They're both going to try to take over the world. Makima obviously starts in Japan. LeBlanc, I mean, for the sake of this argument, where she starts doesn't matter. But let's have her start in Japan too. So, as far as this goes, I mean, we can start with Makima's goals, abilities, IQ feats, that kind of thing. I mean, Makima's goals are very easily laid out to us, very plainly, in fact. So she wants a world without war, death, famine, that kind of thing. And her goals do sound somewhat altruistic. It's just kind of her methods or what make her a villain. You know, that old trope. She's like an anti-villain, more or less. If you've ever been on my channel, you know that I've described Makima as like the perfect anti-villain. It's kind of like the Madara trope, where Madara wanted like a perfect world without war. So he was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna put everybody in Infinite Tsukuyomi. Everyone has their ideal life and their dreaming state and whatever. Okay, fine. In Makima's case, she views people and the population of the world as sort of beneath her, sort of like dogs or pets is probably a pretty apt description, right? And we don't want to look at it as like she is some benevolent being, because she's definitely not. She'll cut the heads off of people who are surrendering to her, as you can see on screen here. And she's not exactly like the most nice person in the world, right? But her goals at the end of the day are to actually help the human race in the way that you would help your dog if they were coughing, or let's say there's Legos on the floor, your dog's stepping on those Legos, and you just pick all the Legos up. That would be more apt to what Makima is doing, right? Those would be her goals and the reason for her world domination. If she took over the world and she had her way, all these things would be gone, all humans would live in peace, there'd be no war, death, famine, nothing like that, right? As far as Makima's abilities, I mean, we see a few of them, like I guess like the lowest level one would be like her finger bang ability. And even with this, I know I just called it like low level, but she still launched like the full manifestation of Chainsaw Man into space. And just to quell the people that say I wank Makima into the sun, I'm gonna wank her again. So this is like a low continental feat. If you really want to lowball her, fine. You can say this is like a country level feat, or like multi-city, even if you really, really want to lowball it. But just for the sake of argument, let's call it like multi-city. Alright, let's give the lowballers, let's throw them a bone, right? So launching someone into space, well past the stratosphere, because what we see in the manga is the view from Chainsaw Man's perspective. He's well past the stratosphere with, a few of these finger bang abilities. This thing is disgusting, but further to that, look, I mean, I would say Makima's, like, mental resistance is really going to help her in this, and her mental resistance is actually crazy, because Chainsaw Man, as a lot of you know, can erase the concepts of devils. So like the concepts of World War II, the concept of that kind of thing. Yonko, my editor, please censor out me saying the word so I don't get demonetized and banned off YouTube. But yeah, Makima can remember those things, so she's resistant to things being erased on a conceptual level, at least mentally, right? So that's something to say. I mean, her mental capacity is going to play a factor in this fight. So there's that, but then she also has the ability to control people who she believes are inferior to her. That will also be important because her interactions with Leblanc will be heavily influenced by this ability. Now, that's a lot of it. Another big one. So Makima can actually force people into contracts with other devils and force people to bend to her will. As I said, I mean, she can control people who she believes are inferior to her, and that control it seems to be an all-encompassing control. Being able to force people to agree to contracts is actually pretty crazy, but also being able to force devils that she beats, like the gun devil, being able to force him to take over, a Kai, so that he can, become a fiend and fight Denji and further break down his psyche so that Makima can control him further, right? There's very few cases in which Makima can't control somebody. Obviously Chainsaw Man, she idolizes him, she's simping, she's glazing, whatever you want to call it, and therefore she can't control him. However, just about everyone else in the Chainsaw Man verse, even world leaders, the president, the Japanese prime minister, all that, yeah, that's her.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
Right? So, her abilities are actually pretty broken. As far as world domination, I mean, Makima is very well equipped to do something like that, right? As far as IQ, I mean, battle IQ, I'm gonna be real with y'all, Makima kind of falls off. She kind of fumbles the battle IQ. Because, like, okay, so let's look at, like, the final battle she has, like, Denji, right? So, like, with Denji, she's, like, fist fighting him. There is no reason to fist fight Denji. She has all the weapon devils. She has, like, damn near the entire population of Tokyo. She could have had all of Tokyo jump this dude and been, like, hundreds of miles away and been in no danger. But for some reason, she decided that she wants to fight him 1v1. She really wanted to run the hands when she had no reason to. She had every single reason to not do this and put herself in danger. But whatever. I don't write this story. Whatever. I'm not hating. I'm not mad. I sound mad, but I promise y'all I'm not mad. I'm definitely mad. So anyway, if we move on to LeBlanc's kit and kind of discussing her. So LeBlanc, I mean, we should talk about her goals first. I mean, if she's taking over the world, we actually don't know very much about why LeBlanc wants to manipulate the world, but we do know that for millennia, hundreds if not thousands of years, LeBlanc has been controlling her own world of Runeterra. For those of you that don't know, LeBlanc is a character from League of Legends, and she is OP in her own way. And her way is very similar to Makima's. They're both very big into manipulating, like, the strong beings of the verse. Although in Makima's case, she's more about, you know, going after strong beings, while Leblanc is more about going after people who are influential and controlling things from the shadows, as to not draw attention to herself. So LeBlanc, as far as her goals, we really don't know. But if we're assuming that she wants to take over the world like she does in League of Legends, I mean, obviously she's going to be at odds with Makima, right? As far as like basic abilities, holy, LeBlanc's abilities are actually pretty crazy. So like, even if we just go off lore, like if we don't take any of the crazy game feats that we really could, if we don't want to wank LeBlanc, right? So like, she can create supposedly an innumerable amount of clones of herself and have those clones spread out across the world and impersonating other people, because LeBlanc's magic allows her to impersonate anyone, right? And when she does this, she can take the memories of people she impersonates. So let's say she took over the Japanese prime minister with one of her clones and had that clone stand in as that prime minister. Not only can she do this indefinitely, but she can take that prime minister's memories and use that to further impersonate him in a more accurate fashion, which is just insane. So she could do this with multiple world leaders, and she would, because that seems to be LeBlanc's style. If we look at her lore, if we look at the short stories, for those of you that don't know, League of Legends has a lot of short stories related to a lot of their champs, and LeBlanc's one of the oldest champs in the game, so obviously we have a lot of lore related to her, right? It's kind of like the Superman and Batman effect, where like, if you've ever like tried to debate somebody who really knows like DC, Batman, Superman, they'll be able to pull all sorts of nonsense, crazy feats out just because they've been around so long. It's the same with LeBlanc. She's been around since like 2010, 2011, something like that. So with LeBlanc, one of her biggest advantages is just being able to slowly take over the world and take the place of world leadership in different countries and different nations without anyone knowing. So that's one of her biggest abilities here. As far as IQ, I mean, Jesus Christ. The fact that, like, nobody knows LeBlanc's real name is insane to me. She's been around for thousands of years, and she's fought in, okay, so League of Legends' verse has a being called Mordekaiser, right? Mordekaiser was the most feared warmonger in the entire verse for a while. LeBlanc is the reason that dude's gone. Not because she's stronger than him, because she outsmarted, on some light Yagami shit, she actually outsmarted this dude so badly that, like, he was sealed in the death dimension. Now, Mordekaiser's a whole different issue. Mordekaiser himself is no slouch. Let me put this in perspective. If we were to put Mordekaiser in the Chainsaw Man verse, he gauntlets. Like, he would actually run all their pockets. And he's supposedly like a genius of warfare. So like, if he were to be put there, he would probably destroy Makima as far as like any battle IQ, any strategy. And like, LeBlanc just gaps the shit out of him. I can't understand that. By the way, Yonko, side note, please censor all my cussing, because I cannot stop myself. I am too passionate about this right now. Anyway, so let's move on. As far as their goals, Makima actually does have more altruistic goals, more achievable goals, especially for her skill kit. Skill kit? Whatever, we're gonna go with skill kit. The abilities, LeBlanc actually has way crazier abilities. So LeBlanc is feared. Like, even my explanation to you guys should make it clear. LeBlanc's abilities are way crazier than Makima's. But LeBlanc is also feared by, like, people like Aurelia in League of Legends. And Aurelia, by herself, is the reason that her nation can't be taken over. Because Aurelia, by herself, is so damn strong that the other nations within the League of Legends universe cannot deal with her. They cannot kill her. Even if they send their entire army after, like, Aurelia's nation, it doesn't matter. She's just that damn strong. And even she's scared of LeBlanc, right? So there is that. Let's start with that. As far as abilities, I mean, LeBlanc takes that, because if you were to take, like, someone like Aurelia and put them in the Chainsaw Man verse, again, they're gonna gauntlet. It's not fair, right? if we're taking IQ, so LeBlanc's hundreds, if not thousands of years old, and this is part of the IQ feats as well. We really don't know much about LeBlanc, and neither does anyone else in the verse. The reason being is that LeBlanc is so damn smart that, like, even the people that have been close to her, people who have entered into, like, alliances with her, or people that have, like, befriended her, they don't know anything about her. And the reason is because she does not want them to. So basically, almost everything we know about LeBlanc is just stuff that she would want the verse to know. So even us as readers, even the authors, do not have information on her that would be helpful. And as far as we know, she doesn't have weaknesses like that. Aside from, like, maybe, and this is a big maybe, aside from maybe being, like a vulnerable to some degree like a mortal would be, and we really don't even know that, because we don't know what LeBlanc can do. For a long time, apparently for hundreds of years, people only referred to her as the Pale Lady because they didn't have a name to call her. And, like, people have tried to kill her. Like, entire nations have tried to go after LeBlanc, and it didn't matter. Like, it just really does not. But enough glazing, right? So, one thing that's comparable about the two is they're both more about manipulation as opposed to just raw fighting, right? So if they were both to try to take over the world, they're going to try to manipulate as opposed to fighting each other 1v1. Makima's going to try to take over and manipulate the world leaders, and so is LeBlanc, right? One difference that I do think is important here, Makima prefers to manipulate stronger beings to fight for her, while LeBlanc manipulates influential beings, right? So LeBlanc would be going after, like, presidents, world leaders, that kind of thing, that don't have, like, a lot of power, while Makima would be going after, like, chainsawman, right? And in case you guys forgot, I said this is taking place in Chainsawman's verse, and Chainsawman himself is the strongest thing in that verse, because he's erasing things on a conceptual level, right? So this is interesting because if we're talking about, like, what they're likely to do, we can start going over their personalities. So, like, LeBlanc is, like, truly an evil, sadistic person, and realistically, like, we don't know a lot about her, so she's somewhat unpredictable, even to, like, Makima. If Makima has, like, full intel, it doesn't really matter. It's gonna amount to about as much as I or you know about her, even if you've never played League of Legends. Our knowledge on what LeBlanc wants is about even, right? We really don't know what she's gonna do. Like, one dangerous thing about her is that she's unpredictable, and we really have no idea what she could do at any given time. While Makima, on the other hand, has, like, somewhat altruistic goals, like trying to get rid of, like, all these blights on humanity. Like, it's gonna make her somewhat predictable, right? And then obviously she's simping for Chainsaw Man, so that makes her even more predictable. But we won't talk about that. We won't glaze over. Anyway, another thing to mention, Makima can actually force people into contracts, like I said. LeBlanc can kill and, you know, be different world leaders and take their place. Honestly, I'm gonna be real with y'all. As far as this goes, no intel or full intel, like, LeBlanc is more well suited to play Makima's game than Makima is. That's the best way to describe this, because, like, okay, so Makima likes to force people into contracts with her. She likes to force people into agreeing with her and doing what she says. Like, so with, like, the Japanese prime minister, a lot of you know that, like, she made a contract that, like, if she takes damage, a random Japanese citizen will take that damage for her. She'll be revived and healed, whatever. Whereas, like, LeBlanc, on the other hand, can just take over all the world leaders, as opposed to, like, Makima. Like, this is so crazy because, like, let's say, because we know how LeBlanc operates here. For those of you that have played League of Legends, all she's going to be trying to do, she's probably going to take over, like, the biggest nations, the most influential nations. She's going to take over probably the US, China, and then Europe. And in those cases, realistically, if she wanted to, she'd probably just nukes Japan. And then all of a sudden, like Makima's, like, revive, like, oh, well, a random Japanese citizen dies in my place thing, that's just gone, right? Because all of Japan's gone. So LeBlanc wins that. And then also, when I was first like thinking about this video, I was really thinking about like, okay, well, let's put it in like LeBlanc's verse too, just to make this fair. And the more that I had like thought about it, and the more that I had read up on their abilities, the more I realized it doesn't matter either way because LeBlanc's gonna win. Like it's so bad, bro. Like, okay. So, like, if we take this to the League of Legends verse and the world of Runeterra, which is like LeBlanc's home field, it's so bad. Because, like, it's actually more likely that Makima dies to any of the other nations. No matter where, like, Makima spawns, she's probably just gonna die in, like, whatever nation she spawns in. As opposed to, like, having a shot at dominating that world like over LeBlanc. Like it's just not gonna happen. Because you have people who are like, okay, so like there's things called aspects, and some of the aspects fear LeBlanc too. So like the aspects are like the gods of the verse, or like the demigods, and the problem is most of them have like resistance to things like conceptual erasure, like conceptual change, things like that, and most of them are scared of LeBlanc. So like the highest scaling character in Chainsaw Man is obviously the Chainsaw himself, and his best feat is conceptual erasure. So like, I'm just saying, like LeBlanc has that. She's got it, bro. But yeah, all that being said, LeBlanc stomps as much, and y'all know me. Y'all know I love Makima. She's one of my favorite characters in all of fiction, right? LeBlanc stomps. I'm sorry. But if you guys like the idea of like a hidden gem series where I bring up like characters like this in like lesser known series, let me know, comment, drop a like. I'm not saying you have to drop a like. I'm just saying like your PP is probably bigger if you drop a like. That's all I'm saying. Let me know if you guys have any special requests. One thing I want to do is like if you guys really want to see a specific mashup, I'll do it. If you guys want me to go more in depth into like how I scale these characters, how I calc them out, and you want me to put calcs on screen while I'm doing these videos, I will. And the only reason I really don't is just because like I feel like it's boring for a lot of people, but I literally have to sit before all these videos and I have to calc out and like start to scale like all their abilities and figure out who's actually stronger. The only reason I don't show you guys that is because the video would be like 40 minutes longer, and I feel like you'd just be looking at numbers on a screen for like I don't even know how long. So like if you guys do want to see that, I'm good. I'll show you. I'm all for that. Just let me know. But yeah, all that being said, guys, be safe. Take it easy.